became a target of frustration. President Obama also announced Budget Director Sylvia Burwell as Sebelius' replacement. Also last week, a House committee voted to hold former IRS official Lois Lerner in contempt of Congress for refusing to answer questions at a pair of hearings. Lerner was the one-time head of the division that processes applications for tax-exempt status, but came under fire after admitting that some groups, mainly Tea Party ones, were targeted for extra scrutiny. So will the success of Obamacare enrollment or the rocky website rollout be Secretary Sebelius' legacy? And will the Justice Department prosecute Lois Lerner? Those are our topics this half hour, and you can share your thoughts on Facebook or on Twitter. Again, we're joined by Chris Tritico, Jerry Bernberg, and Jackie Bally. All right, good morning, guys. What do you think? Let's start with Kathleen Sebelius' departure.
And not the Ukraine? I don't know what I was thinking. You know, this was inevitable that the president was going to accept her resignation coming up. It had to happen. She is the one that is taking the brunt for the rollout, the rocky rollout, the bad web page that took 3 years to build and didn't work. And so I think she had to go, Jackie Bally. The question is it too little too late for the president?
Of course it's too little too late. And, you know, unfortunately for Ms. Burwell, she has to come in and try to take over this spot. And she's just, Sebelius was just a facilitator. You cannot replace a culture. You cannot replace bad legislation. And what people, when they think of Obamacare, the general perception is bad rollout, promises made that cannot be kept. The president said you can keep your doctors, you can keep your premiums wouldn't go up. So many things that were said and promised to many of our citizens have not been kept. So no, Sebelius, her legacy will definitely be Obamacare and the bad rollout.
What about that? Is that her legacy? I mean, they did get over 7 million sign up. So where does this go for
First
her?
of all, 7.5 million.
7.5 million.
When the prediction was 6 million, so she beat the predictions by what, 25%. What her legacy is, I mean, quite honestly, who cares? What the issue is whether Obamacare is now there and gonna be there, and the answer to that question is because of what Kathleen Sebelius did in that department. Yeah, it's there. It's more successful than anybody had predicted in their wildest estimations. The rollout was terrible. It was a tragedy that it happened like it did. But
and is that rollout going to cost the Democrats the Senate?
No. I do believe that there's a lot of mythology out there. One of them, for example, is this notion that Obamacare is unpopular. Well, it is true that there are about 52% of the people that if you ask them, they'll say, yeah, we don't favor Obamacare. But of that number, more than a third are people who are Democrats who don't favor it because it doesn't go far enough. When you add the people who think it doesn't go far enough with the people who like it, you're well over 50%. So I think that there is a misjudgment by the Republicans if they think that the terrible rollout is going to somehow or another mean that's going to damn the rest of the Democrats running in red states.
All right, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait. We'll go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Well, I think Jackie's going to like what Stephen has to say. Stephen's sort of countering Jerry today. He says Sebelius will be the scapegoat and the public are the guinea pigs of this law. 40 million uninsured. Now they're touting 7 million enrollees. He says you haven't seen anything yet. Wait until the employer mandate hits. He believes the full-time job market will tumble and you're going to be left to pay for your insurance no matter what.
Let's talk about that real quick.
What a smart viewer. Thank you.
Is that it? I said real quick, you could go a little more than that. If the president had, Jack, I'm going to stick with you. If the president had moved on Sebelius 2 years ago, when things weren't growing, would it have changed things?
I think the perception would have changed. But unfortunately, again, she is just the facilitator of this bad legislation. But at least we would have seen some action saying, okay, we want to be more proactive. We want to make a positive change. They would have taken responsibility for the horrible rollout and a lot of the promises that were supposed to be made that were not kept. At least he would have been proactive in making some actions and saying, we're trying to keep our promises. We're trying to make this a good piece of legislation.
All right, let me shift gears to Lois Lerner. A former IRS official who was the one in charge of the division that they say investigated the Tea Party. Short circuit to get to where we're going. Last week, the House committee voted to hold her in contempt, sent that to the Justice Department because she exercised that right given every citizen under the Fifth Amendment to say, no, thank you, I'm not talking.
Yeah, what an outrage that the Republicans somehow think that it's okay to seek contempt against someone who invokes their Fifth Amendment privilege. But on the other hand, move over to New Jersey, where folks claimed a Fifth Amendment privilege that somehow protected them from having to turn over emails they got from other folks, and that was sacrosanct that the Fifth Amendment would protect something like that. What's wrong with this picture?
Is that hypocritical?
Well, look, the problem is she targeted personal groups. She targeted groups because of their political affiliations. That's the real problem here. And we discussed this whenever this first came to the public and to light, that we wondered what some of the things that she did, we wondered how legal they were going to be. So now this is just part of the process. We're going to continue to learn more. We're going to continue to see what she did was unethical at best, and definitely, I'm sorry, at the worst. And definitely you're going to see some things that are being implied that what she did was illegal.
She has the right to remain silent?
She can be silent all she wants to. She still did things that were unethical and illegal.
But that's not the issue. The issue is whether or not, by the way, no, she didn't. She did not do
We're almost
any
out of
such
time.
thing. Okay. She invoked her Fifth Amendment privilege. She's being punished for that. And Jackie says, well, admittedly, she might not should have been punished for that. She should be punished for something else that she didn't do.
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying she does not have a right to be, she has every right to do what she wants to do. You cannot tell anybody not to do or to do certain
Then
things.
why hold them in contempt?
However, the fact that she's now invoking her Fifth Amendment is telling the public that she did things that were wrong, that were unethical and illegal.
That's not what the law
That's
says.
what I'm saying.
That's not what the law means.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to leave it right there because we don't have time for the Fifth Amendment discussion anymore. Sally, we'll see you next week.
I love it. All right, thanks guys so much. We appreciate it. Have a happy Sunday.